3 years ago in 2022, I decided to take everything I'd ever made over the last 12 years and delete it and leave the internet for good. Though a lot of people thought this was absolutely reckless, completely a waste of talent, the end of my career, I can safely say in hindsight that it was probably the best decision I ever made. Okay, if you're new here and you don't know who I am, what I do, well, it's a long story. I started YouTube when I was about 11 years old. I don't know if you guys know like this channel called Super Mario Logan. And basically it's just this comedy show with like Mario plush characters. I used to do that. Again, I was 11. Okay, it was kind of embarrassing. I stopped when I was like 16. I got pretty popular with it, and that was my first real taste of YouTube. And during that time, I started getting interested in filmmaking. So I started like using my filmmaking skills and incorporating them into those videos. But when I reached high school, everything changed and I started to make actual short films. At first, we were just making like generic kind of whatever films with my friends, but it quickly shifted to a more horror themed approach. And that's when I got into this genre called analog horror, which if you don't know what that is, good for you, because I guess that means you aren't chronically online. But it's essentially like old like VHS tapes and found footage, that kind of horror. It's kind of like mixed with creepypasta. It's a new form of internet horror. So I got really into that and I was doing that for a few years. I eventually made this series called Eventide Media Center, and that series did pretty well, and that's what I was most known for. But then in late 2022, a controversy happened where I kind of screwed up and I made a kind of insensitive video. I'm not going to go into too many details. If you want more details on why I deleted everything, specifically about that video, what the controversy was, and how I handled it personally, watch till the end of this video because I have a little Q&A session at the end. But essentially, there was this big Twitter drama over it, and that's when I realized something pretty important. I was looking at YouTube and the internet in a way that was kind of unhealthy. I was treating the internet as a replacement for actual social interaction, and that's not good, as I learned very quickly. There are things you just need to learn like in real life. You can't learn it just from being on the internet. There are certain types of interactions, especially when you get haters and when you get people calling you out for something you did wrong. In real life, it's just a matter of apologizing to one person, right? Or maybe a couple people, but at most it's like 3 or 4 people, right? You're apologizing to. That's not the internet. If you mess up on the internet, you're cooked, bro. And like, I did not know how to handle this for most of my life because my adolescence was mostly taken up making YouTube videos. I was just on the internet 24/7. I was constantly producing content. Yeah, I learned a lot of skills, but at the same time, I missed out on a lot of things that I probably should have learned a lot earlier in life. But eventually something happened on the internet. Again, this controversy happened that kind of forced my hand. I was forced to take a step back and say, hey, what's the bigger picture here? You know, is it the internet or is it real life and making actual connections in the real world rather than just relying on the internet? So after that controversy, I decided to delete everything, my socials, every account I had, all my videos, because I didn't want a distraction again. I didn't want to have to come back to this. I didn't want to have to look back and sort of fall back into the same old routine that I had before and avoiding real life. And that's really the big issue. So I deleted everything, and it kind of felt very freeing in a way because I was in this situation now where I could look at everything from a bird's eye view and just say, well, hang on a second. This is all it's just words on a screen, man. Like all this stuff, it's not real, but it also is very real because of how much it affected my life in such a negative way. But in another way, if you just log off, it's all gone. So after that, I started living life, and you know what? I'm glad I did, because I learned a lot of things in the past 3 years that I probably would have never learned if I'd just been doing the same thing every single day. And being stuck in the same routine, being stuck in the same mindset. And you know what? I made a lot of mistakes as well that like I deeply regret in real life. I made some pretty bad, I did some pretty bad things that I definitely regret, but it was because I didn't know what I was doing, right? I didn't have that development. I didn't have that time where I could actually mess up and like make mistakes in a safer environment when I was younger, you know. I made mistakes when I was an adult. Those mistakes had to happen eventually, or at least something like it. just so I could learn and like become a better person. If I had to give some advice to anybody out there who's kind of stuck or was stuck in the same situation I was in, please just like take a step back from the internet, especially if you have fans or some kind of like parasocial relationship with people online. You need to take a step back from it and look at what the real world is, because as I'm doing right now, talking to a camera, it can get to your head very quickly if you don't have that support system. If you don't have a real world to actually fall back into and actually grow in a safer environment than letting your mistakes basically just air out on the internet, because that's potentially more dangerous than making a mistake in real life. If you never had the experience of, letting other people down in the real world, when you do it on the internet, it's compounded like tenfold. You have a bunch of hate comments and you have to deal with that, and you probably don't even know how to deal with that because you've never had to deal with it in real life where it was more manageable. If you want to do content on the internet, you first have to have a strong foundation. You have to have mental clarity in real life before you even start making YouTube content or any sort of internet content. The parasocial relationships with people, with fans, it can be really harmful. I always try to distance myself from my content because I think it can be a little bit dangerous. The internet is very dangerous. You got to protect yourself. And so I think distancing yourself from that and from the fans a little bit is a great way to start. And that's actually what I've been doing for the last 3 years. I've been making stuff and I've just been keeping myself separate from it all. I don't want the artist to be entangled with the art. However, things are changing now, unfortunately. Yeah, the reason I'm coming back to the internet is because of 2 letters, AI. I'm pretty scared of where AI is heading in the future for artists like myself. I think the worst thing you can do now is be anonymous, because when you're anonymous, you lose the human touch, I think, and you lose the face behind the content, behind the art, behind whatever you're making. And so I think people really latch on to the human part of all this, and that's why I'm showing my face again after 3 years, because personal brands are going to be everything in the world of AI. I think it's the only way to stand out. You have to be as least like a machine as humanly possible, which means showing my face in front of a camera and talking to you guys. And don't worry, I'm taking the necessary steps to protect myself, as I mentioned before, to completely avoid what happened before 3 years ago. So what kind of content am I gonna be posting on this channel? Well, I'm actually pretty excited for this channel in particular because I'm gonna be doing deep dives into various esoteric internet concepts. I've been researching a few weird things I found on the internet, and I can't wait to show you guys. I'm very excited about this. So if you're interested in anything esoteric, weird, or strange about the internet, hit that subscribe button and also leave a comment down below what kind of topics you think I should cover. Okay, so this is the section you guys have been waiting for, at least the longtime fans of mine. So the first question I know I'm probably gonna get is, are you going to be re-uploading all the videos you deleted? And the answer to that is no, probably not. Mostly because you guys have already done that for me. They're already all re-uploaded, and I want to keep these channels kind of a fresh slate, like a new start for all the content coming forward. But yeah, you guys have already uploaded it all. It's all available for free on YouTube. So there's kind of no need for me to re-upload everything. And I kind of figured that would happen when I deleted all the content like 3 years ago. I just knew that something like that would happen. Like, you guys would just re-upload everything. All right, here's the real spicy question. What the hell happened with Crimson Creek? Why did you crash out, bro? Like, did you go insane? Was it Twitter? Why did you go and delete everything? So as I explained before, it was kind of a good excuse for me to leave the internet, but there were very specific reasons why that instance is what led me to deleting everything. So if you guys don't know, in Crimson Creek, the episode, it was a very stupid episode. I was trying to be deep with it, okay? I completely disagree with what I wanted to do with it. My intention with it was kind of dumb, even by my own opinions, and it was just stupid. The idea was, with that episode, was it was supposed to be like highlighting the horrors of gun violence, but even then I think it's stupid. But it clearly didn't hit very well, or it didn't come off in the way I intended. But even then, so at the end of the episode, it was like a cover up that there was a shooting at this college, right? And that got people pretty mad. Obviously, it was like people got offended by it, which I don't know what to think about it, but the fact that it happened, so I had to take action, right? The first thing I was actually really concerned about was, I was in college at the time, and I was really concerned about what my college would think. I didn't want to get expelled, basically. I didn't want to have any issues with college, with graduating college. So I wanted to delete everything, and it worked. I graduated college, and Yeah. The other thing, I was kind of scared of employers, like future employers, what they would think of the content if they found it. And that was definitely a big concern for me at the time. Like even just my horror content in general, I thought maybe this might be a little bit too far. It might prevent me from even getting a job. But I've been through all that now. I've been through the whole, let's say, rat race. And I've kind of decided I want to do YouTube. And I have the privilege now to actually do YouTube full time. So I don't have to worry about that. I guess I don't have to worry about employers looking at my old content. And then the other thing was, yeah, there was a big issue on Twitter. So people are saying that there's no evidence of like any kind of cancel culture, canceling of me that happened on Twitter, but it's because the main tweet got deleted, or the main couple tweets of the whoever it was. I don't even remember who it was, to be honest, who started this whole thing, but somebody started it and then they deleted every tweet they made after I deleted all my content. So I guess like I did a good job of like hiding this from my college and the employers. But like the thing is with that was, again, I was really just concerned for my future with that one. And I did get some death threats in my DMs, which really sucked. And yeah, I was kind of scared about that. So that was another reason why I deleted everything. But it was all these things combined, that and plus I wanted to, go out and live life, that I ended up deleting everything. And specifically, that's why Crimson Creek led to the mass deletion. And then the last question is, are you going to be making analog horror ever again? And to answer that question, I guess I can say, did I ever really quit?